In the quiet town of Ridgewood, a tale of deceit and tragedy unfolded forever, altering the lives of those involved. At the heart of this story were two sisters, Clara and Sophia O'Connor. Sophia, the elder, was married to Matthew Hale, a successful and well-respected surgeon. Their seemingly perfect life was envied by all, but beneath the surface, a dark and sinister drama was brewing. Clara and Sophia were born into a modest family in Ridgewood. Their father was a mechanic, and their mother was a nurse. From a young age, it was clear that the two sisters were vastly different. Sophia, with her calm demeanor and academic brilliance, was the apple of her parents' eye. She excelled in school, went on to study medicine, and eventually became a doctor, much like her mother. Her life followed a predictable but admirable path, leading to her marriage to Matthew Hale, a man who matched her in ambition and success. Clara, on the other hand, was a wild spirit, intelligent, yet troubled. She struggled to find her place. Her rebellious nature often got her into trouble, and her relationships were as tumultuous as her career choices. She flitted from job to job, city to city, never settling down. Her manipulative tendencies were evident early on, as she often used her charm and cunning to get what she wanted. Growing up, the contrast between the sisters was stark. Sophia was the quintessential good girl, diligent, respectful, and always eager to please. She excelled academically and socially, earning praise from teachers and admiration from peers. Clara, however, was the opposite. She was restless and rebellious, often challenging authority and pushing boundaries. While equally intelligent, she lacked the focus and discipline that came naturally to Sophia. Their parents, John and Margaret O'Connor, doted on Sophia, proud of her accomplishments and her stable nature. Clara, feeling overshadowed and misunderstood, acted out in various ways, seeking attention and validation in all the wrong places. This dynamic created a rift between the sisters, one that only deepened as they grew older. Sophia's journey was linear and predictable. After high school, she went on to college, earning a degree in medicine. She met Matthew Hale during her residency. Matthew, a rising star in the medical field, was instantly smitten with Sophia's beauty and intelligence. Their courtship was swift and seemingly perfect, culminating in a wedding that was the talk of Ridgewood. The couple settled into a comfortable life, their future bright and full of promise. Clara's path, however, was far from straightforward. After barely graduating from high school, she embarked on a series of ill-fated endeavors. She dabbled in various careers, from bartending to real estate, but nothing seemed to stick. Her relationships were equally volatile, characterized by intense passions and bitter endings. Despite her outward bravado, Clara felt a growing sense of inadequacy, especially in comparison to her seemingly perfect sister. Clara's return to Ridgewood came after yet another failed relationship and mounting debts. Her latest romantic entanglement had ended disastrously, leaving her emotionally and financially drained. Seeking refuge, she turned to the only family she had left, Sophia. Ever the dutiful sister, Sophia welcomed Clara back with open arms. Despite their differences, Sophia loved her sister and was willing to help her get back on her feet. Clara moved into the guest house on Sophia and Matthew's property, ostensibly to look for a job and start anew. However, Clara had other plans. She wasn't just seeking a fresh start. She was looking for an opportunity. Sophia's perfect life was a glaring reminder of everything Clara lacked, and deep down, she resented her sister's success. Clara's arrival coincided with a period of strain in Sophia and Matthew's marriage. Matthew, a dedicated and hard-working surgeon, was often preoccupied with his demanding job. The long hours and constant stress left little time for intimacy or meaningful connection with Sophia. Despite their outwardly perfect life, there were cracks in their relationship, cracks that Clara was quick to notice and exploit. It started innocently enough. Clara would join Sophia and Matthew for dinner, sharing stories and laughter. Matthew, initially indifferent to Clara, soon found himself drawn to her vibrant and unpredictable personality. She was everything Sophia was not: spontaneous, daring, and seductive. Clara began to find excuses to be around Matthew. She would seek his advice on trivial matters, touch his arm during conversations, and compliment his work excessively. Matthew, feeling the strain of his demanding job and the monotony of his marriage, was flattered by Clara's attention. One evening, while Sophia was working late, Clara invited Matthew to a secluded part of the garden to share a bottle of wine under the guise of sibling bonding. She began to subtly flirt with him. The wine loosened their tongues, and soon their conversation took a more intimate turn. Clara knew exactly how to play on Matthew's insecurities and unfulfilled desires, making him feel seen and appreciated in a way Sophia never did. The chemistry between them was palpable, an electric current that neither could deny. Matthew, though initially wary, found himself increasingly drawn to Clara. Her presence was a breath of fresh air, a stark contrast to the routine predictability of his life with Sophia. Clara, for her part, was meticulous in her approach, carefully calibrating her advantage to keep Matthew on edge, always wanting more, but never quite sure how far she would go. What began as a harmless flirtation quickly escalated into a full-blown affair. Matthew, unable to resist Clara's allure, found himself sneaking around to be with her. They met in secret, their stolen moments filled with passion and guilt. For Clara, the affair was a game, a way to finally outshine her sister. For Matthew, it was an escape from his routine life and a rekindling of a fire he thought long extinguished. Sophia, oblivious to the affair at first, began to notice changes in Matthew. He was more distant, often making excuses to stay late at work or go on business trips. Her suspicions grew, and she started to piece together the truth. The late-night phone calls, the lingering looks between Matthew and Clara, and the sudden coldness in her marriage all pointed to an unthinkable betrayal. As the affair continued, Clara's manipulations became more pronounced. She would feign vulnerability, playing on Matthew's protective instincts, and then switch to passionate seductress, keeping him constantly off balance and enthralled. Matthew, torn between his love for Sophia and his desire for Clara, was trapped in a web of deceit. Clara reveled in the thrill of their forbidden romance. Each secret meeting fueled her sense of triumph over Sophia. She meticulously planned their rendezvous, ensuring they would not be discovered. They would meet in discreet locations, from secluded parks to out-of-town motels. The danger of being caught only added to the excitement, making their encounters all the more intense. Matthew, meanwhile, was caught in a whirlwind of emotions. The affair was exhilarating, but the guilt was suffocating. He loved Sophia and hated himself for betraying her, yet he couldn't stay away from Clara. She had become an addiction, a dark and irresistible force that consumed him. His internal struggle was evident in his behavior, swinging between excessive affection towards Sophia and inexplicable coldness. Sophia's instincts were sharp, and the changes in Matthew did not go unnoticed. She confided in her best friend, Julia, expressing her fears and suspicions. Julia, supportive and concerned, urged Sophia to confront Matthew directly. However, Sophia, hoping it was all a misunderstanding, decided to observe a little longer before making any accusations. Sophia's suspicions reached a boiling point. One stormy evening, she confronted Matthew, demanding to know the truth. Matthew, unable to lie any longer, confessed to the affair. The revelation shattered Sophia. Her perfect life was a lie, her trust betrayed by the two people she loved most. In a fit of rage and heartbreak, Sophia confronted Clara. The argument was explosive, filled with accusations and bitter words. Clara, initially defiant, eventually revealed her true feelings. She admitted to the affair with a cold, calculated smirk, relishing in the pain she had caused. Sophia, overwhelmed by a whirlwind of emotions, fled the house, her heart pounding and her mind a chaotic mess of betrayal and grief. Every corner of her home was filled with memories of happier times, now tainted by the bitter revelation of her husband's infidelity. She grabbed her car keys and ran out into the stormy night, the rain matching her tears. The sky rumbled ominously, as if the heavens themselves were mourning her anguish. She drove aimlessly through the storm, the windshield wipers struggling to keep up with the torrential downpour. Her thoughts were a turbulent sea of rage and sorrow, each wave crashing harder than the last. The betrayal was a knife in her heart, twisted by the hands of the man she loved and trusted. She pressed her foot harder on the gas pedal, trying to outrun the pain. The car's engine roared in the night as she sped along the winding roads outside Ridgewood. The rain-slicked asphalt became treacherous. The tires struggled for grip, but her mind was too clouded to notice. She rounded a sharp bend too quickly. The car's back end fishtailed, and Sophia fought for control. It was too late. The vehicle skidded off the road, breaking through the flimsy guardrail and tumbling down the rocky ravine. The sound of the crash echoed through the night, a tragic punctuation to the evening's devastating events. The next morning, as the first light of dawn broke through the dissipating storm clouds, Sophia's lifeless body was found. Her car was a mangled wreck at the bottom of the ravine, the crumpled metal and shattered glass, a stark reminder of the violent end to her desperate escape. News of the accident spread quickly through Ridgewood, a tight-knit community where everyone knew each other. The shock was palpable, a wave of disbelief and sorrow washing over the town. Matthew was devastated when he heard the news. The weight of his guilt and sorrow was almost too much to bear. He had loved Sophia once deeply, and the affair with Clara had been a moment of weakness that spiraled out of control. Now, it had cost him everything. His mind replayed the arguments, the hurt in Sophia's eyes, and the final moments before she stormed out. He became a shadow of his former self, haunted by the memory of his wife and the betrayal that led to her untimely death. Clara, on the other hand, felt a twisted sense of victory. She had set out to destroy Sophia's perfect life, and she had succeeded. But the cost was higher than she had anticipated. She had expected drama, perhaps a breakup or a scandal, but not this. The community's reaction was swift and brutal. Once the object of envy, she was now the target of scorn and ostracism. The whispers followed her everywhere, and soon she found it unbearable. She left Ridgewood, her life in tatters, marked forever by the tragedy she had helped to orchestrate. Detective Sarah Blake was assigned to investigate the accident. She was known for her keen instincts and meticulous attention to detail. As she surveyed the crash site and reviewed the evidence, something didn't sit right with her. The crash seemed too deliberate, the circumstances too convenient. Blake's curiosity was piqued, and she delved deeper into Sophia's life, uncovering the affair and the tumultuous events leading up to her death. Interviews with friends and family painted a grim picture. Sophia had been a woman pushed to the brink by betrayal. Matthew's colleagues spoke of his recent erratic behavior and emotional outbursts, while Clara's former lovers described her as manipulative, and ruthless. The pieces of the puzzle began to fit together, revealing a story of emotional torment and desperate actions. Blake's investigation concluded that Sophia's death, while officially ruled an accident, was a direct result of the emotional trauma inflicted by Clara and Matthew. The affair had driven her to despair, and her frantic drive through the storm was a desperate attempt to escape the unbearable pain. Although no criminal charges were filed, the court of public opinion was unforgiving. The truth of their affair spread through Ridgewood like wildfire, forever tarnishing Matthew and Clara's reputations. Matthew and Clara were left to grapple with the consequences of their actions. Matthew's life was a hollow shell, haunted by the ghost of his wife and the guilt that gnawed at his soul. Clara, once a vibrant and confident woman, was reduced to a figure of infamy, her name synonymous with tragedy and betrayal. Sophia's death was a wound that would never fully heal, a scar on the heart of Ridgewood, and a haunting reminder to those who knew the true cost of deceit. Detective Sarah Blake's thorough investigation left no stone unturned. She meticulously reconstructed Sophia's final hours, piece by piece, until the tragic truth was laid bare. Ridgewood, a town forever scarred, would never forget the heartbreaking events that unfolded within its quiet streets. Thank you for watching this true crime story. Click here for another.